A humanitarian pause in the Syrian city of Aleppo formally comes into effect in about an hour's time. The temporary truce announced by Russia is meant to allow civilians and rebels to leave the city. Moscow extended the originally proposed 8-hour ceasefire by 3 hours and says it might prolong it even further. Russia is warning moderate rebels to distance themselves from Jabhat Fateh al-Sham, considered a terrorist organization by both Moscow and Washington. The last ceasefire in Syria collapsed in September. Since then, Russian and Syrian forces have undertaken a massive bombing campaign on eastern Aleppo, which has left hundreds of people dead and destroyed some of the few hospitals left in the city. Meanwhile, German, French, and Russian leaders have discussions over Syria in Berlin. German Chancellor Angela Merkel says sanctions on Russia over Syria cannot be ruled out, and she stressed the need to focus on efforts to help the Syrian people.
I think we cannot deny ourselves the option, but I think our discussions tomorrow will focus on how we can help the people. We are talking about criminal activities there, crimes against the civilian population. The main focus must now be on helping the people and doing all we can to help. For example, the International Red Cross to get a single humanitarian convoy in, so there's at least light at the end of the tunnel again, and radicalization of the population does not continue.
And Russia is saying that it's proposing to speed up adoption of a new constitution in Syria to facilitate future elections.
Russia proposes to intensify work on the development and adoption of a new constitution, which will become a base for preliminary elections and to reach an alignment of positions among all conflicting parties.
For more on this temporary truce, let's go to Shamim Chowdhury, who's live for us from Gaziantep near the Turkish-Syrian border. Shamim, what can we expect to happen during these 11 hours?
Well, this truce is about to start in less than an hour from now, 5 GMT, and it is something that the Russians have unilaterally made a decision on. And in order to prepare, they say, for this halt in fighting, they stopped bombing eastern Aleppo along with the Syrians at 7 GMT on Tuesday. So there's been no airstrikes for quite some time now. The idea is to get civilians who have been trapped in eastern Aleppo, rebel-held Aleppo, and rebels away from the area. Now, to do that, the Russians say that there are a number of corridors that have been freed up. This is what they've been doing over the past few days also, so that civilians and rebels can move into the nearby province of Idlib. Now, we are being told that 19 UN trucks have already arrived in Idlib. They will tend to the sick and wounded as soon as they get there. And there are another 40 or so trucks stuck on the Syrian-Turkish border waiting for permission from the regime to enter the country. So the idea is that when these people start moving, they will head towards Idlib, as I say, and in particular the sick and the wounded, and many people who have had no food, very basic food for a very long time, will be getting the assistance that they've needed for so long. But really the question here is, will the rebels take advantage of this pause and move out, as the Russians are hoping they will? Now, there's nothing to guarantee that. Now, Russia has been putting pressure on the international community to help separate moderate rebel groups from Jabhat Fateh al-Sham in the main, which Russia says, and in fact the US agrees, is affiliated with al-Qaeda, and Russia says that this is the main group that they've been targeting. Now, whether that happens or not, we really are going to have to wait and see. There's a couple of corridors that have been opened, that Russia is giving assurances that these rebels will be able to move along with their weapons. But also there are some unconfirmed tweets that from leaders of these rebel groups saying that for them it's a question of martyrdom or victory. Now, this gives an indication that they are not going to play by Russia's rules, but of course we are going to have to wait and see. But I think the immediate concern right now is for the more than 250 million people who have been trapped inside rebel-held Aleppo for so long and really tending to their basic needs.
Shamim Chowdhury, thank you very much for that update.